So before it gets too much darker here, I picked this up at auction. Was listed as a abandoned vehicle, and of course no keys. Got a really nice side pipes, but yeah, it's 81 Ford pickup with a much later bed on it. The bed's actually in great shape. As far as rust, it's got dents and dings, whatever, but wrong and nice, but the rubber is good. It's got a couple custom features that I'm really impressed with. Couldn't see this, of course, in the auction photos. This is high quality spray foam, and the best one is when you open the door, you hear this crunchy spray foam in the front here. So they patched all the rust here. Interior is pretty shot. Plans for this truck. I bought this because it's a four-wheel drive F-250 81, and I have a F-250 already that's four-wheel drive. It's also a manual, which I was very excited about, but I also have a bullnose that is a F-150 two-wheel drive with a rusted out bed. Good cab. I wanted the engine for that for another project, but yeah. So my thought process was, hey, even if it doesn't run, whatever else, between the three of them, I can make a good run and rig, and that was my target for this. Got to the auction and was pleasantly surprised. Sorry, I'm doing my straps here. By the shape of it. It's much better actually than I thought. The truck itself inside is of course garbage. I was hoping the cab was solid and the rest of it was, the bed was just swapped over because it was such a nice looking bed, versus the fact that the cab's also rusted out and the bed was replaced probably out of necessity. But I'm going to go ahead and use both hands to get these straps off. I need to get this off the trailer so the weight's not sitting on the trailer all night. It's starting to get cold, so I'm going to grab another jacket, unhook the winch, and we're going to try to fire it up here, see if I can get it off the trailer. I don't have a key to it, but the ignition is broken, so should be able to turn it. Okay, so it looks to me like it's got a 351 in it, which would be correct for this truck. Overall, not too bad. Had some wiring replaced and spliced in. Over here, we've got an issue with the battery terminal. I see a quart of oil here behind it as well. Found my dad's coveralls. So people are always asking me how I learned to do mechanics and whatever else, and most of it comes back to my childhood. Didn't have a whole lot for quite a bit of my growing up years as a family, and there's a nice little spark from shorting out a battery. That will warm up your battery with a crescent wrench. You know better than that. And I'm not watching the camera here as I'm trying to break this connector loose, but and always use the right tool for the job, as you can see here. But didn't really have much, and so when something broke, we fixed it, and by we I mean my dad. If it was our car or something, we had to repair it more than just go get a new one or whatever. You don't have that option when you see if I can get my light to stay on here and my phone balanced where you can see and I can use my hands. And so well, it was a good thought until the phone fell to the ground. But yeah, and so most of my growing up years, if something broke, my dad fixed it. He wasn't really a self-proclaimed mechanic, I don't think. He did it more out of necessity than enjoyment. And being the oldest boy, I got to help hold wrenches and flashlights and whatever. He's pretty patient with putting up with me. The first motor I ever remember working on was a lawnmower when we lived up in Seattle area, Washington, and didn't run, so I decided one day I was going to fix it. Found his tools and took it all apart. I mean, completely apart. He came home and found it apart to the, I mean, I had the piston apart, piston rings out, every bolt out of the head, carburetor unscrewed about as far as you could unbolt or unscrew anything, trying to find something broken, I guess is what I was trying to do. And he just said, well, that's not going to run again, let's pick it up and go have dinner. And he said the only problem was the carburetor needed to be cleaned out. But the way he responded to that taught me, or allowed me to continue to have an interest in working on things and fixing things, because he didn't blow up or scream at me. I mean, I destroyed the family lawnmower, but yeah, so that was one of the big influencers in my life for mechanics. And I remember him just, okay, this pulled out because this battery's heavy, it doesn't fit in the tray well, and this cable's too short. But for today's purposes, we're just gonna try to make it fit, see if we can get it to sit down a little bit. I don't know if it will without ripping that back out. So maybe they put this quart of oil underneath the battery as a sort of makeshift support. Okay, so there we got one problem fixed. I've got some fuel. In fact, let's just put a little bit in to start with. But I remember my dad working on our '70 Ford camper van, high top camper van we'd driven all over. I don't know if we were changing out the alternator or what, but it was, I think, probably 25, 30 below zero, which wasn't abnormal for where we lived in northern Minnesota at that time, and way up north of Grand Rapids, Minnesota. And I remember his hands turning blue, and we'd go in, put them in a bucket of cold water until they warmed up again enough to get circulation, and we'd go back out and work on it some more. And I had it pretty easy. I could wear gloves and whatever, but he couldn't really work on things well wrapped up. And then we had a neighbor man named Mr. McConkey. And Mr. McConkey took the time to answer my bajillion questions as a 13, 14-year-old kid, asking everything you could want to know about engines, I guess. And he taught me to take apart engines and put them together in basic diagnosis. And then a man named Dave Douglas worked down at a manumission in Arizona, and bus mechanic. He taught me a lot more about how to run a shop professionally, how to keep things organized. I still don't, but the right way to do that. And so those are the three men who really influenced my life in mechanics, and taught me most of what I know. Picked up a lot of it from various people in various places, and a lot of mistakes and errors. But yeah, so while we're under this hood, it's a little cold still. Looks like we've got a couple splices to the brake line there on the brake booster. Looks like there's a sticker on the brake booster, so maybe it was replaced. The starter looked new underneath. Alternator looked pretty good shape. Plug wires don't look bad. Looks like we got a new heater motor over there. So it looks to me like they were fixing this up. Sort of a shame for it to go. Maybe it doesn't run right. Maybe there's the transmission's blown out. I did check the radiator. The radiator has coolant in it. So let's see if we can get it to fire up. So here we go. Yeah, so these are the coveralls my dad had when I was a kid. They're too big for me, but they're warm. I think they're a Walmart brand. They aren't a good brand of coveralls, but they were probably cheap at the time, and that mattered. And so yeah, so I'm going to turn the camera around here and give you a little tour of the inside of this beautiful monstrosity. Okay, so it says 86,000 miles on it. I'm missing the windshield washer knob. That's a real big deal. Of course, your dummy lights for typical Ford dashes etched away by the sun. It is a custom Ranger, I guess. He has been typical Ford. Oh, that's sort of fun. Ford makeshift. I can just turn it over by hand. I don't think there's a key in there. No, it's been screwdrivered. Don't know if the heat works. Doesn't have AC. Does have dual tanks. It looks like it's sort of centered, so don't know if those are hooked up. Glove box is gone. Does have the center console box. Don't know what this bench seat is out of, but yeah, it does have a slider window. I'm guessing what happened to it is that it was stolen. Guessing by this broken clasp on the slider window and then the broken key. Somebody probably stole it. And yeah. So the clasp is broken on the side of that there. Key's broken off, and then the driver's door doesn't have a door handle either. They painted the inside of it white, don't know why. Here's a better look at that phone. But anyways, let's see. I don't have ramps, but I did put a little fuel in. I got the battery hooked up. Let's see if I can stick the flashlight to the roof, free up my hand, and hey. I don't have a tack, but let's... Sounds pretty healthy. Okay, let's see if I got a little clutch here. Slowly letting out the pedal. Hey, I'm grabbing and moving. Okay, that's a good sign, but I need to put some ramps up on the trailer so we can see if we can back it off. Hey, that's it's pretty good. I wonder if I got headlights. Hey, headlights even. We're gonna leave them off because I'm sure the battery's not in great shape from sitting there, but that sounds incredibly good. I am really surprised and really pleased. That's yeah, that might be one of my better junk auction finds. Yeah, so get it off and then go see if I can do a donut or two in the backyard. Okay, so we do have clutch, and I'm almost off the trailer. I tried to film between the fenders backing off, and it doesn't really work. Let's give us some headlights. Hey, the brakes even seem to grab. Headlights, hey. And, oh, hey, the brakes engaged. I'll release the parking brake. That might help us a little bit too. And then backing up a little bit of a hill here, so there we go. Finally at first gear. Hey, clutch doesn't feel too bad. Let's see what we got for some go juice here once I get out past the burn pit. The second gear doesn't like the, there we go, doesn't like the low RPMs in second, but it grabbed it. Flashlight's gonna fall off the roof. So here's my other pickup. I think this cab will go onto this body. The bed on that one's pretty decent on the outside, but the floor of it's gone. And then I got another F-250 there behind it for parts and four-wheel drive, but that one's also pretty beat up. Let's see if I can do a little donut here. I don't really want to tear up too much grass. Oh yeah, it's got plenty of power. Interior is just pretty well gone. Oh, typical radio check. Let's see. Hey, I got a speaker. Looks like we're probably on FM. Tuning, push to seek. This is the antenna right here, so I don't think we're going to pull in much.
Inside seats to hear first-hand comeback stories.
Don't know if our four-wheel drive works. I can probably shift it in, of course. But I guess we could try 4 low and granny low. Oh yeah, that's really fast. Super exciting. When you buy something that's junk, or somebody's junk, sometimes you get a deal, sometimes you lose money on it, but you gotta enjoy it, and life is meant to be lived and enjoyed, and it brings me a little joy to do some of this stuff. It's stupid, I know, the insanity of it, the value of this is just not there compared to what I could probably just buy or, you know, fix up that's in better shape to begin with. But I guess I see some joy in finding something that's not working right. Oh man, this seat even helps you get out. Here, I'll show you once I'm out. When you get out of the seat, it tips towards the door to let you know that you can exit easily. I don't know what they're out of, maybe an F-150. Newer pickup truck. Newer F-150. But yeah, you gotta find things that you enjoy doing to make things fun, or you just sort of give up, I think, overall. And this is something I enjoy. I hate it sometimes too. I hate breaking knuckles and everything else, but figured out the challenges of fixing things and the fun of getting to drive them again when you get them running and people shaking their head at you. It's all sort of fun. So thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys. There's not too many of you, and that's quite all right. But those of you who watch this, I think, enjoy it. So if you get a laugh with me and get to enjoy some of my adventures, that works too. So underneath the cab, quick look. More spray foam. There's sheet metal screws. Here's the screw for the driver's seat, bolt holding the driver's seat in. So, you know, really well adjusted. But the frame looks solid. The driveline looks solid. Gas tank doesn't look bad. So I'm calling this a win. There's a lot of usable parts on it. This body here will fit very nicely on it. And I didn't really think about saving this bed, and I don't think I will. If I can find something decent, this bed's seen better days, but this is a perfect use for this truck for the cab. Swap it over onto the four-wheel drive cab. It's got a decent interior in it. It's not great, but it's a decent interior. The panels are pretty straight. It's got some broken front end pieces here, which I've got in the other truck. It also has a 351. I want that 351 for my Mustang project, so that will work out well. I haven't rolled underneath this cab to look and see if the floor pan's pretty solid or not. We got some rot through there, but most of it looks pretty decent. This frame also looks good. It's got the automatic transmission, which I don't enjoy as much. And otherwise it looks pretty solid. There's a lot of bushings and stuff on this that actually look like they're in pretty good shape. So a little patch panel here just on this floorboard. It looks like just in this one spot, and I can see might make this how's it sort of fun. There's some old Delco truck performance gas shocks. Let's roll onto the other side and check that floorboard. I got both of these basically for scrap price. This one's got the same little spot right there. They trap a little water in those floorboards, so grind out and weld in a little piece of flat steel there, be good to go. But I think that if I take that cab and this truck, find myself a decent bed, I'll have a nice truck to throw a cheap paint job on and send on down the road, make a little cash on for the bills, and try something new. So, need to find some center caps for those tires, it looks like. I don't know if I can get it to focus. They're sort of ugly, they're sort of nice, but they're a good size for this, and I think they'll clean up all right. So, yep, there's the adventure for today. Thanks for watching.